the most important part is finding the jobs, and that's what we need to focus on this period of time here. Okay, that's what this meeting was set up for. All the other meetings we have it set up was for our specifics. But Ray, would you come up here, Ray?
Sure.
Would you? Are you Squid?
Squid. The ship rolled, right?
Good.
I'm a Marine.
All right, but
I mean, here it is, a Marine.
No,
Wait,
when he said, hey, mate, you know, I go, whoa, you know, that means
No,
it's got to be.
shipmate.
Wait, shipmate. Well, you spend more time on a boat than
I
I
was
did.
on ships, yeah, just like probably you were.
No,
And we got around.
Semper Fi.
Got it.
Okay. But anyway, this is the way we say your attention, people. And the attention you got to do is tell him what your needs are. Jerry Bohr, that's prime subject right there, Ray, that I want you to focus on. He's got it definitely covered. Okay? So I'm going to let you have it.
All right, thanks, Gene.
Okay, then we can.
First, I apologize for being a little late, but it's really nice to be here and see a lot of shipmates. Regardless of service, you know, I think we have an affinity because we did serve. Before I take questions, let me provide just a little overview about what my organization does and some of the aspects that might be important to you when you talk about veterans employment issues. 2 years ago, this coming November, so November 2009, the President signed off on an executive order. And an executive order is the highest document that the President can sign that is directive across the federal government. It's not law, but it's his guidance. This executive order, 13518, basically said, I want to do better across the government on veterans employment. And I make a commitment to the federal agencies from a leadership perspective to do this. And therefore I need you to do certain things for us. So that really kicked off what we call the Veterans Employment Initiative, which is a significant action for the federal government. So that was 2009. At that time, I was in Afghanistan. I was deployed with the Marines in Afghanistan from 2009, and I came back late April of 2010. The director of OPM, which is my organization, asked me to take a leadership role and to be responsible for this initiative from OPM's perspective and work with the federal agencies. So I mobilized a team, and my team, except for my one assistant, are all veterans. And we have every service except Coast Guard represented in my team. And our team does two things. One, we focus on OPM employment issues, trying to hire vets. And then we orchestrate across the federal government some of the other aspects to try to employ veterans across the federal government. Now, just to give you an idea, and this has been running about a year. When I came back into the office last July, I took over a leadership role at that time, but it had been ably functioning during my absence. In fiscal year 10, which was from September, or 1 October of 2009 to 30 September 2010, the government hired more veterans than it did the previous year, approximately 2,000 more. Now you'd say, well, that's not a whole lot. Well, here's the numbers. You talk about 70,000 veterans out of about 200,000 federal employees that were hired. That's about 1 in 4, a little bit better than 1 in 4. VA and DOD always hire the preponderance of veterans because of the nature of the mission and where there's an affinity between the veteran and the mission. But across the government, more and more agencies hire veterans. The other piece that's positive is the disabled veteran piece. The numbers increased significantly there as well. Approximately 1,700 more disabled vets were hired from the previous year. Now part of that is there's two reasons for all this. One, we have taken this issue across the federal government to all of the hiring managers, the senior leadership's committed, The program is got a lot more visibility than probably when Gene came back from Vietnam and others have come back from other campaigns. There is a real commitment by the government, by the White House and many others to do what we can with veterans, particularly the Iraq and Afghan campaign, but not just those two campaigns. The second piece is, in September of last year, the Council on Veterans Employment, and that is the operational arm for the President that oversees this initiative, and that's co-chaired by General Shinseki. And anybody remember General Shinseki?
More with less.
Yeah, and he's quite a leader. He's a remarkable veteran in his own right. And Secretary Solis, and she's the head of Department of Labor. They are the co-chairs of this Council of Veterans Employment. Well, last September, the Council of Veterans Employment, which is 24 federal agencies, which comprise 98% of the federal workforce, agreed to establish veterans hiring goals for individual agencies and for the federal government across the board. So now we have goals established, and you can see all this, and I'll tell you where in a minute, on our website, which holds agencies accountable for veterans hiring. Gene.
Ray, I can understand what you're saying, and I can believe everything that you're presenting us with. You know, statistics are good. Statistics are like employers, corporations hiring. They hire 5,000 today, and tomorrow 3 or 4 of those thousands are quit, but they still hold them on the books. But my question for today is that I have a veteran named by the name of Jerry Ford. I had a brother that's been brutalized by trying to get a job in our government, just like everybody else, and Jerry himself, and also another individual that was hired by the federal government to do a job, and just because he whistleblowed on an issue that cost the Department of Veterans Affairs tens of thousands of dollars, and I got all the evidence to prove that. What you're saying, it's good, but what I want you to do, if you would please, Ray, is listen to what happened to Jerry's brother, so that those words that you're saying, we can combine it and work together on it.
I'll be glad to listen. Let me just close out, and I'll cut short my comments. We're holding government agencies accountable to hire more veterans, disabled veterans. Now, can things be improved? Can we do a better job? And I would submit to you, yes. We know for a fact that there are a lot of people, a lot of vets that are looking for jobs, and what we're trying to do across the 24 federal agencies, which is the bulk of where the employment is to do more and more matches for that employment. And a couple things that we do, which I think are very useful, is we're trying to make the whole hiring process simpler. Has anybody ever tried for a federal job? Do you remember the paperwork you went through, and, you know, all these forms and terms that you say, well, what the hell does this mean? I don't even understand this. And you don't, you go through this big drill, and then you never hear anything back. Well, a couple things are changing. The government's getting away from what used to be called the Standard Form 171. 171 used to be, you know, here's the narrative. You say all this stuff, you know, and you got KSAs. Yeah, and they're doing away with KSAs.
Yes, sir.
That's a good deal. But KSAs will come back, though, when you get to the next level of discussion. So, yeah, the resume has gotten better. The package that you submit is simpler. But the bottom line is when you get that call, either for an interview or they want to follow up with you for more information, they will start asking you about these key skills and abilities. That they want to know more about how you match up to